Thank you for watching. Today this is going to be a really interesting podcast. We're going to get into some very interesting subjects. Um, Derek, thank you so much for your referral. Um, Before we get into this, we have a couple of housekeeping things that we want to talk about. Right, Jason?
Oh, you just pointed at me? Okay.
I got to put you on the spot because it's fun.
Sure.
You know?
Well, first off, yeah, thanks everybody for coming. A couple things. If you guys don't know about our personal brand mastermind on Monday, just connect with us. Go to trajectoryglobal.com, follow us on YouTube. But we posted them up there. But we have a mastermind group that helps you build your brand, your personal brand. So basically, we have a group that's keeping each other accountable, helping each other support each other on social media, and we talk about strategies, what's working, what's not. So personal brands is going to be the currency of the future, so it's a big deal. The entire idea of Trajectory is to elevate people who have a story or an experience that can help change the trajectory of people's life. So that being said, everything that we're doing is to improve their impact, improve their ability to get out there. So personal brand is one of them. Another one is the book. We're on Trajectory Volume 2. Number 1 was a huge success, being a number 1 bestseller. So we're
Two categories.
in 2 categories.
Top new release in 3 categories.
Yeah. So we have some best-selling authors in the house today, and some future ones. So there's still a little bit of time to get in if you are still interested in building that credibility, because that credibility of having a published book, but not only that, a best-selling status is huge when you're trying to get your voice out there, get onto podcasts, get invited to events, doing speaking gigs. Putting that label behind your name goes a long way, and that's what we're trying to help with, along with doing podcasts like these and trying to get the word out. We just, started it. Actually, now that we've talked about it, there's more than we thought. Like, how many podcasts?
Yeah,
What number is
a
this?
lot. He said 9. I told Lena 4. We've done like 4. He said
Yes.
it's been like 9.
So, I mean, it's still pretty fresh, just a few months old, but so follow us on YouTube, Trajectory Global. It's getting some traction. We're starting to get some views. The shorts that we're posting for our Trajectory guests are getting, thousands of views right now. So it's a good way to gain some visibility, especially if you don't have an audience. But if you can leverage the personal brand with that exposure, with like being a best-selling author, it's putting it all together could do a lot. So that's what we're trying to do.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, we can't do this without your help. All of this, the whole point of what we're doing is to try to make connections, foster and engage each other, because sometimes in life we get slapped upside the head, and it's always good to have somebody that can help. But the ulterior motive for me for Trajectory is that it's not just getting help, it's giving help. Because giving help, being in a position where you can help somebody, whether it's an emotional thing or a mental thing or just being there, that's really the secret for your own success. If you can help, because when I'm worried about your problem, I ain't worried about my problem as much, right? And that's just something that happens. So Trajectory is connecting with each other and helping each other overcome adversity and just being successful. It doesn't have to be adversity so much, but just helping each other with success and making connections. So you guys are all invited to engage. And with that being said, we have a lot of interesting stories. I can't wait to talk about. I had a glass of wine here, but then I put it over there because I finished it. But we're gonna get into some real interesting stories, and I would like you to introduce yourself.
First,
oh yeah.
So even more ironic when you hear what he's going to talk about, that to let everybody know that we are in a brewery right now. But if you want to watch this live and meet us, we're doing it every Wednesday night at 6:30 at Carl Strauss in Dos Lagos in Corona. So it's free. You could just come and meet with us. We'd love to have you. But that being said, go ahead.
All right. Well, I'm Victor Alvarez. It's a pleasure to be here with you all tonight. And it's an honor to be able to share perspective that is transformative. And that's consistent with the trajectory message of hope and destiny and purpose that I'm sensing from your podcast. So it'll be great to unpack some of the complexity of life and to be able to see how we navigate that in an orderly way that gives God glory. I am a Christian. My biblical recovery perspective is something that is a passion for me. And so I think we're going to unpack a little bit about what that looks like. But would you like me to go further with the introduction, or do you have some questions? So yeah,
no, I'm gonna have questions, don't you? Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so my dad, so I grew up in a military family. My mom grew up in post-war Amsterdam. My grandfather had to speak perfect German not to be shot on sight after the Nazi invasion of Amsterdam. My dad was born on Pearl Harbor Day, so war has kind of shaped my life in a lot of ways. My dad was a military guy. I went to 16 schools growing up, and nobody really ever asked me, how do you feel about moving? So the responsibility was turn up, show up, and get out there. And so I got very involved in athletics and in sports, and excelled in sports in that way as well. And I found a refuge on the athletic field because amidst all of the chaos that surrounded my life, there are rules in sports. 3 strikes, you're out. 10-foot basketball hoop for in Okinawa, Japan, or playing baseball in Newport, Rhode Island, or soccer and football in Arkansas, Blytheville, Arkansas. There are rules in sports, and you bring your best guys to the field. I'll bring my best guys to the field. We'll lay it all out there and see what shakes out at the end of the day. And so as my life began to as I began to experience life, as life gets lifey, so, I looked for ways to be able to cope with those things. So growing up in sports, I'm also a pastor's kid in the military. My dad was a chaplain, and so grew up in the Jesus revolution, the Jesus people. And so my brother and I, 10 and a half months younger than me, we were the little kids, at the house full of hippies that had come to Jesus and had an experience there. And there was always a coffee pot. Somebody always had a Bible, and oftentimes a guitar. And if we were somewhere really cool, like up in Pinion Hills or Wrightwood, there'd be a fireplace and a meal, a potluck, along with that as well. And so I grew up in that environment. Before small groups was actually a church growth strategy, we were just organically, naturally in homes and in that environment. So progressing, fast forwarding a little bit to get into the topic of biblical recovery, I think it's important to know as well that when we came back from Okinawa, Japan, and landed in Redlands, where I have a lot of family. My family goes back 100+ years in Yucaipa. My great-grandfather came up from Mexico there. And I had my first drink of alcohol. It was Mickey's Big Mouth. And I drank 1.5 Mickey's Big Mouth, and my life was transformed in that moment.
Mickey.
Yeah, we jumped on our skateboards and bikes and ran over to the football field where we were doing 2-a-days. And I hugged the goalpost, and I looked up, and the world was spinning. And I thought, all of the pressure and the tension and the anxiety that I'd held on to since I was just a little boy was gone. And I thought I was in heaven. Just to support that idea, though, I remember the day I decided to become an actor. My dad, and I'm not putting anybody on blast, this is just my experience, and I'm okay to talk about it. My father was yelling at my mom. He had kicked the passenger side door of the little Volkswagen that we used to drive in. And he walked inside. My mom composed herself, parked the little Volkswagen, gathered my brother and I. We were walking into the building. And I just remember thinking to myself, just act like everything's okay. And I decided to be an actor on that day. And on that day, anything other than reality was better than what was really going on. And I felt a responsibility at 4 years old and beyond, until I took my first drink of alcohol. I felt a responsibility to carry the secret, to live the lie and carry the secret, that was a better way than living in truth, which I didn't even realize at that time. So what I developed was normal reactions to abnormal situations. So after that first drink, I didn't feel that pressure anymore to try to figure out what people expected of me, and or how I should act, what I should be. I was just like, everything's okay. Until it wasn't. And I'm sure we'll get into that as well. That's just in a nutshell. So in 1999, I was a title rep here in Corona. This area of Corona hadn't even been built up yet. And I was walking out of the real estate office, and I had my little, I was living the lie, right? I had to present myself as a professional, as successful. And I remember leaving that real estate office. I'd been talking to several realtors at the front of the office there. And I just remember thinking,